Good evening, everyone. This is Steffi Iyer, your host here for today's 13th Prakashma Energy Awards 2020 and concurrent 6th IPEC, that is India Power and Energy Conclave 2020. And we'll be having discussions with Professor A.G. Iyer, Editor-in-Chief and Founder Publisher of Inertia, and the Chairman of the Prakashma Inertia Awards 2020. With Jury Convener, Tyagarajan Iyer, and the Editorial Director for Inertia. Let's start.
Hello, welcome my friends today to this 13th function of the Inertia Awards, which are named after my late brother Sri A. Prakash Iyer, whom we lost on the 29th of December that year 2015. And it's been a function which we have been conducting around the month of October to December, depending on our comfort. But as time progressed, it is in memory of late Prakash Iyer, who had interacted with the industry in a big way, was a complete support to all of us this year, and we must remember him. And I think the best way is to light today's inaugural lamp also in his memory. May I request Tyagarajan, Ganesh, and even Mr. Rawat and Murarka to please come over. And let us have the couple of ladies to come and join us, please. May I request Steffi, let's all go and light the lamp first and then start. Let all of us go there. Clap. Please give us good hand. I think Rahul is there. Okay, come. All, come forward. To clear. That's also fine. That's what I should get. That's please come. The front seats are there. That's it. So, hello, my friends. Once again, back to the discussions. And today is a great day. Today is an absolutely great day to be here. The 18th of December 2020, and a very important time. We are all meeting here, And as Tyagarajan would tell you, that we have been working on many areas, even though these 7-8 months have been the toughest time for both, I would say, the industry and public at large, industry, the economy, and the public at large. So there is one very big criterion which goes on to say that the economy has been really impacted. I mean, definitely, about 23.9% and the average impact on the economy has happened during one of the quarters. But overall impact that we have predicted at our other foundation, in which on the 4th December we had a major function here, where we had the Atal Shastri Markanami Awards also, and we also had our Markanami Conclave discussions where we ranked the states of India, the 28 states of India. The full report will be available shortly. So one interesting thing that came out of that was that the economy of all states have not shrunk. The very interesting part of India, see, if we just take everything and then we talk about it, then we will say, okay, it has shrunk. But the interesting part is we found some states, and very surprisingly, the economy of Maharashtra has not gone negative. The state that we are in, the economy of Maharashtra still is in a positive state. Even in 2019, when everything was down, Maharashtra's economy was at a 5% growth rate. So there is something very interesting. It's not about, I would not discuss a certain type of leadership about, but more importantly to see what is the actual mass that can actually move our entire economy. So Maharashtra is a $450 billion economy, and that is the biggest economy of the country. The second one is actually Tamil Nadu. And interestingly, Tamil Nadu is the only AA rated state of the country. All other states are BB plus, or I would say rated just a little bit above that. So yes, Maharashtra is also not AA plus rated state, but the traction of the economy, the size itself is quite large. And the interesting part of it is, if you go further down the study, Mumbai metropolitan region and the Mumbai commercial capital region. I'll make these terms very easy for you. Mumbai metropolitan region is the western suburb on the western coast, together with the southern Mumbai that comes into picture. But when I say Mumbai commercial capital region, that is a very big, I would say, setup called the Dombivli, Kalyan, Ulhasnagar, Chitwala, Ambernath, Badlapur, and all that together will come into picture. The very bustling suburbs, connected, and then on the other side is the Raigad district on our, extreme far east coast. So, and then hinterland goes straight to Pune. So, if you take all of this in the bordering area, then what you find is the total strength of this population is roughly, we have about 2.25 crore population. And the GDP is contribution, which is state gross domestic product, came out to about $225 billion. That means half of the entire Maharashtra state contribution comes from this major pocket of, both commerce and industry. Interesting part is one of the biggest industrial belts in Asia, Taloja, comes there. The MIDCs of Dombivli, Ambernath all come there. The moment you go, you see Wada, you see Boisar, Tarapur, you will understand that we are a bustling. It's not just a commercial center. It's a combination of industry, it's a combination of financial capital, it's a combination of our touching, and then when we add Pune, Aurangabad, Ahmednagar, this entire belt, and you take the whole game plan, then you will understand from where Maharashtra's GDP is moving. So there is a lesson for all of this for other states. So suppose the number 3 state for you is Uttar Pradesh, which we did not, in our survey, did not stand because of GDP, because we did not only go over GDP factor. The negativity that came in our evaluation, not for the state, but for them to understand, is a massive population of 24 crore versus Maharashtra's 12 crore. So a 12 crore state producing $450 billion and a 7 crore state of Tamil Nadu producing $280 billion had a similar traction. That means per 10 million, we are producing about 37 billion of GDP. So that's a traction, right? So what happens to the state of Uttar Pradesh just goes down because you have 250 billion and 24 crores. That's the figure. So now you must start addressing the problem. So if UP wants to become a 1 trillion state, right now they are ranked 27th in my list. Nothing to do with anything else but a lot of other things. See, suppose I want a Bollywood, then I must have a lot in other places. Maybe I want the Bhojpuri industry to look as good as the Telugu industry. Forget about Mumbai. Then I must provide the environment of safety, security. I must ensure the gender equality is similar. These are all the things that come in favor of states like Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Telangana. South of India factor is working. I'm not saying that there are not good states out there. There are good ones like Odisha in the east. There are good ones, up there. I would say even the NCR is a little tough for women. See, we have seen so much happening. So unless and until you bring the gender equality right, good economies have progressed because of gender equality or opportunities for the other gender to bring themselves into the economic activity. Okay, so these are very important for us all to do, and it's the most important for us to picture the whole scene and look at a larger perspective. So I want to give it back because today our farmers are sitting there in Delhi. In fact, we were going to do the Centra program in Delhi, but it was not conducive from all angles. There was a big COVID surge going on, and people advised us not to do a mass program in Delhi. So that's one of the reasons. Second reason is the farmers, agitation is out there, and it's something very important for India. The Supreme Court has taken note that this has become a national issue. So it has to be tackled. So this was not the right time for us to go there and do something, but we still felt that industry must be encouraged because the farmer is part of the industry. I'll give you an example. Today, a very important post I made in the morning on this, and I would like to talk about it here so that people understand what I am saying. You know, in the morning I did a post which I want to share with all of you, and I said people were talking about MSP and there is a for and against kind of situation. MSP is the minimum support price. So the whole equation and argument is on the farm bill, the 3 bills and all. I'm not going into the intricacy of it, but I'm just telling you what is very important. Very important is I studied at the National Institute of Technology, Kurukshetra, one of the finest engineering colleges in the country. And so I was right in the belt, which is called the Kurukshetra, Taraudi, Nirakhedi, Karnal, Kachchar, Jind. These are the rice belt of Asia. It's a basmati belt of Asia, if you understand. The other rice belt is down there. Our Afghan friends have built a beautiful project called the Anaram Barrage at Telangana. And there is a similar project called Prakasham Barrage, which is there in Vijayawada, in Andhra Pradesh. So these barrages are a major water source. So what happens is a water intensive crop like rice grows in a water intensive area. So basically these barrages are going to help hugely in the state of Andhra Pradesh. So these states function better. So if you see Telangana and all come higher on the ranking, the top 10, you find Telangana, find Andhra Pradesh and things like that. So why they are coming? Because they are able to make a match, mix and match between industrial growth rates and helping the agriculture sector. But now, what is important? Now I come back to the MSP idea. MSP was, we had an engineering college in our times. It was very funny, हमारे यहाँ एक engineering college होता है, सर छोटू राव engineering college. ये मूर्थल होता है. मूर्थल is a place near Soripa. And we used to go to eat our parathas. हम वो मूर्थल के ढाबों में पराठे खाने जाते थे स्टूडेंट्स को. तो हमें उसकी अहमियत पता नहीं था. When I started researching on Sir Chotu Ram, he was a genius. He was the first farm sector reformer of India, pre-independence. He died in 1945. And in the undivided India, this gentleman was born, and he was negotiating with the British very strongly. That's why we research in Bali. Or one of the things he negotiated was that farmers को minimum support price मतलब न्यूनतम समर्थन मूल्य देना पड़ेगा. The British had to agree and accede to the demand of an Indian scholar, right? And this happened. And then he established the early mandi system. He went to undivided Punjab. Jab hamara 1947 we became free. Our Punjab was together with Punjab, Haryana, and Himachal. The 3 states together were the Punjab that came to India, right? And then later on these states separated. And we had a common capital. It's very unique. Chandigarh is the common capital. Panchkula is developing into a neighboring area, but we today have Haryana and Punjab still have Chandigarh as a capital. So we need to understand that that division happened, but actually आपने line तो divide कर दी, but दिल तो नहीं divide. Farmer तो CNM उनकी, so they are working on a mandi system. So, and then this mandi system resulted in a middleman, which is not exactly a middleman. It is like a service provider, which is called the Adti. Adti is a facilitator. He is a financial facilitator. When banks were not there in those days, these Adtis came, they had किसी के घर पे शादी हुई, उनको पैसे दे दिए रात को, किसी को 5 लाख रुपए जाना चाहिए दे दिए, 50,000 चाहिए दे दिए. So these were the things that came into the picture. Now I am coming to a picture that is water and electricity, which we are discussing. So MSP and connect with that is very important because all these things go into production of food grains. What goes into the land is very clear. Land contains nitrogen and oxygen, key ingredients. So what we are doing, we are putting fertilizers into it. So that was my post. So what is the type of fertilizer that India is using even today for the farm sector? What we are using is basically phosphatic fertilizer. So phosphatic fertilizer resulted in a major lobbying. Like the United Phosphorus, is the Vapi plant. Now Vapi is one of the, near Gujarat, is a very highly polluted zone. Daman Ganga उसकी काफी polluted होती थी. और दमन के बाद दमन गंगा कहते हैं जो रिवर है. तो रिवर को देखेंगे तो आपका हम तो हंसी करते थे कि इसमें कोई टूट गया तो स्कल ही वापस आएगा, स्केलेटन वापस आएगा, सारा स्किन निकल जाएगा. इतनी पोल्यूशन होती है, इतना कुछ ज्यादा एफ्लुएंट सारे चले जाते हैं उसमें. तो यूनाइटेड फॉस्फोरस इज अ मेजर कंपनी दैट इज देयर. एंड व्हाई दैट इज सर्वाइविंग? बिकॉज इट्स मेकिंग phosphorus, which goes into making crackers and shivakashi, and also the आपकी माचिस बनती है, उसमें phosphorus जाती है. दूसरी phosphatic fertilizer का input ही phosphorus है. So why United Phosphorus? Because India continues to use phosphatic fertilizer. While 30 years back, the Canadians, the Americans, the Germans, and all the Europeans had banned the use of phosphatic fertilizers. अब आप पूछेंगे कि भारत में कौन कौन बहुत सारे फैक्ट्रीज हैं तो फर्टिलाइजर बना रही है. नेशनल फर्टिलाइजर लिमिटेड, राष्ट्रीय केमिकल्स, राष्ट्रीय फर्टिलाइजर लिमिटेड, Then we have in Gujarat itself two major companies, Gujarat State Fertilizer Corporation (GSFC), then Gujarat Narmada Fertilizer Corporation, बड़ी कंपनी है। उसके अलावा इंडो ओमान फर्टिलाइजर है जो जॉइंट वेंचर है इंडिया और ओमान के बीच में। तो इनको सब आप देखेंगे तो इसमें क्या यूज होगा, फर्टिलाइजर प्रोडक्शन के लिए ऊर्जा की जरूरत होती है। सो वी आर टुडे डाइवर्टिंग ऑल अवर बेस्ट इंपोर्ट ऑफ नेचुरल गैस टू प्रोडक्शन ऑफ फर्टिलाइजर। सो प्रायोरिटी सेक्टर एग्रीकल्चर है तो वो वहां चला जाता है। इससे हमारे 30 गीगावाट के थर्मल पावर प्लांट, गैस बेस्ड पावर प्लांट हमारे आइडल पड़े, इतने बड़े जबरदस्त एसेट पड़े एंड इसमें मेजॉरिटी एनटीपीसी का है। So basically, no government, including this government, has ever denied the production of fertilizer. उसी में जाता है, लेकिन लॉन्ग टर्म में हमें ऑर्गेनिक फर्टिलाइजर प्रोड्यूस करते हैं। अब हम कहें कि फार्मर जिम्मेदार इसके लिए तो बहुत ही गलत होता है। तो इस चीज को समझना पड़ेगा। ये जॉब ही है, ये फॉस्फोरस बनाने वाली कंपनी, ये इंटरनेशनल लिस्टिंग, ये सारे बना रहे हैं। अभी क्या हुआ कि बिकॉज देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ क्वेश्चन ऑन एनवायरनमेंट, और यूनिलीवर ने क्या किया, वो ऑर्गेनिक में चलेगी। सबसे पहले इंडिया में Godrej Agrovet started making neem-based fertilizers. So then we had Mitsui Industries in Vapi, another company which is basically a foreign company, but it's set up here in India. It makes organic fertilizers. Hindustan Lever has gone in, ITC has gone in. अभी ये रेवोल्यूशन शुरू हुआ है, पर सारी लड़ाई कहाँ है? क्या फॉस्फेटिक फर्टिलाइजर की सस्ता होने के सामने, यूरिया सस्ता होने के सामने, क्या हम ये जो ऑर्गेनिक फर्टिलाइजर इनको सस्ता कर पाएंगे? वहाँ सारी सब्सिडी कल्चर है, वहाँ सारा कुछ जा रहा है, हम फार्मर को खाली ब्लेम कर रहे हैं। क्या हम इंडस्ट्री सब्सिडाइज नहीं कर रहे हैं? चाहे सरकारों की है, हम ये क्यों रखेंगे पब्लिक सेक्टर और प्राइवेट सेक्टर? अब एक जॉइंटली देखिए, ये तो खाली स्टाइल ऑफ मैनेजमेंट है। पब्लिक सेक्टर को आप ऑटोनॉमी दीजिए, वो भी प्राइवेट सेक्टर की तरह काम करेगी। इक्वेशन ऑफ क्रॉस पोलिनेशन करिए, प्रोफेशनल्स फ्रॉम प्राइवेट सेक्टर कैन टेक भाई जंप टू पब्लिक सेक्टर, 5 साल काम करें फिर वापस आ जाए। आप इसको क्रॉस पोलिनेशन करना शुरू करिए, इनोवेशन करिए, देखिए दोनों मैनेजमेंट स्टाइल पता चल जाएंगे, दोनों की अपनी अपनी अच्छाइयाँ, दोनों की अपनी अपनी बुराइयाँ। तो ये ना करके हमने डिबेट कर दिया कि प्राइवेटाइज कर, डिस इन्वेस्टमेंट के खिलाफ नहीं हो, लेकिन डाइवर्स कर दो। भैया आपकी आयरन ओर आज से 500 साल क्या वैल्यू है पता नहीं, स्टील के अलावा कोई मटेरियल नहीं पैदा हुआ पिछले 50 साल में। जब आईसी इंजन बना था पहला हुआ, रुडॉल्फ डीजल ने डीजल इंजन बनाई हमारे। आई वर्क फॉर द कंपनी ऑफ मैन डीजल, सो आई लव रुडॉल्फ ने अपनी डीजल इंजन में उसने वेजिटेबल ऑयल से उसको चलाया, ही प्रोड्यूस पावर फ्रॉम वेजिटेबल ऑयल। क्या हुआ? Americans and these people stuck, diesel in the Middle East. उन्होंने उस फ्यूल का नाम ही डीजल के नाम पर रखा। अब दिमाग में डीजल आता है तो कार्बन आता है। जब उस बेचारे ने वेजिटेबल ऑयल से उस सिंगल पिस्टन सिलेंडर इंजन को चलाया। So where have we come? He was talking of renewable energy. He was going to drive ships using marine propulsion with renewable energy. हमने वहाँ पे बंकर फ्यूल डालकर हम चला रहे हैं अपने जहाजों को। तो हम बड़ा सवाल पूछें कि हमारा एनर्जी ट्रेंड कहाँ से है? ये सारी लॉबी, चाहे वो ऑयल लॉबीज है, ये लॉबीज है, ये अपना काम करना चाह रहे हैं। तो एनर्जी चाहिए, ऊर्जा चाहिए, लेकिन हमें सोचना पड़ेगा क्या हमारे लिए क्या ठीक है। Everything cannot come from a certain perspective that has come in the world because somebody wanted to do the short-sighted business. अब एग्जाम्पल बताता हूँ, जब स्टीम इंजन का डेवलपमेंट हुआ तब हमने क्या किया? We started looking down. हमने कोयला निकाला, क्योंकि पहले जो वैगन्स चलते थे इंग्लैंड में वो घोड़े चलाते थे, और ये हॉर्स पावर का कंसेप्ट आया वो घोड़ों के इसमें से, सो दे यूज्ड टू ड्राइव द वैगन। हमने क्या किया? उसको हटाया, घोड़े को हटाया, हम करना ही पड़ा। हमने क्या किया? उसके आगे एक इंजन लगा दिया, स्टीम इंजन, उससे हमने चलाना शुरू कर दिया। एंड वी पावर्ड द स्टीम इंजन विद कोल। तो हमने क्या किया? कोयले की जरूरत है, तो इंग्लैंड बिकेम द प्रोडक्शन सेंटर फॉर कोल, और वो कोल को फिर हमने स्टील बनाने के लिए यूज किया, क्योंकि कोयला सबसे बढ़िया कोयला जो है वो स्टील प्रोडक्शन में जाता है। बिजली प्रोडक्शन के अंदर जो कोयला यूज होता है सबसे खराब क्वालिटी का कोयला, जिसकी सल्फर कंटेंट हाई होती है, जिसकी एश कंटेंट हाई होती है, वो यूज होता है। तो अब ये जो है क्लाइमेट चेंज का जो क्वेश्चन आया है, दैट आर्गुमेंट ऑफ हैविंग दिस क्लाइमेट इम्पैक्ट हैज कम इनटू द पिक्चर, दैट चैलेंज नॉट टू यूज दिस हैज कम इनटू द पिक्चर। नाउ वी कैन नॉट हैव coal into the domain because we are going towards renewable energy. Now we have to go away from coal. So this long run coal-based power plants may be in trouble in the future. Another 10 years, I tell you, people will start discussing whether हमको coal को यूज भी करना है। मैं कहता हूँ नहीं यूज करना पड़ेगा। कोल गैसिफिकेशन की तरफ ज़्यादा जाएंगे, नई टेक्नोलॉजी लाएंगे, आप उसमें से गैस निकालेंगे। गैस स्टिल अ क्लीन फ्यूल। मैंने आपको बताया कि जमीन में खेती करने के लिए कार्बन और नाइट्रोजन की जरूरत होती है। कार्बन और नाइट्रोजन, आपने कार्बन ही निकाल लिया, उसका धरती का कार्बन निकाल के ऊपर डाल दिया, आपको सोल्यूशन निकाला। नाउ आफ्टर कमिंग नाउ सेज आई वांट टू डू कार्बन सेक्वेस्ट्रेशन। भाई कार्बन निकाला ही क्यों पहले? अब एक जनरेशन ने वो गलती करी, दूसरी जनरेशन दूसरी गलती करेगी, तीसरी करेगी। अब हम जाएंगे वहाँ द इंटरगवर्नमेंट पैनल ऑन क्लाइमेट चेंज सेटिंग टू कंट्रोल द टेम्परेचर राइज बाय 2050 टू 2 डिग्री ऑफ प्री इंडस्ट्रियल। इतना कॉम्प्लेक्स क्वेश्चन है, इसको समझ में आएगा क्या बोल रहे हैं? Dude, what I said, how many Indians or how many world people know what is being talked about, right? So it's a simple thing. Temperatures are rising. अब हमारा जो थाना है यहाँ से डिस्ट्रिक्ट है, वो इस ओनली 4.5 to 5 मीटर अबव सी लेवल, 4.5 मीटर समुद्र को राइज करने में कितना समय लगेगा? It just needs about, I'm telling you, 5 to 6 degree traction. 5 से 6 डिग्री अगर समुद्र का पानी, if the ocean warms by 5 to 6 degree, it will take away Thana, Mumbai, everything. Warm. So are we ready? Are we ready to see this? So it is real. It's in front of us. The localized climate impact, you know, the blanket of carbon dioxide covering the earth and stopping the sun rays, and then whatever it is trapping, warming the planet, and then delta is rising, you know, and it rise quickly. It's a threat. So it's not a artificial threat. It's a real threat that can impact the planet. So we are working. So while we have to grow and we have to allow people to access energy resources as quickly and as beautifully as follows, as sustainably as follows, we have a challenge not to do this in the way we have done this all these 100 years of industrialization. हमें उसकी तरफ सवाल उठाना है, उसी के पीछे लगे। और अगर हमारे फार्मर लड़ रहे हैं तो ये ठीक है, वो अपना पॉलिटिकली देखें, उसको छोड़िए। बेसिकली क्या है कि ये कहते हैं ना, पुराने जमाने में यही लड़ाई थी, जल चोरो जमीन। चलो बाकी सब छोड़ दीजिए, जमीन की तरफ जाएंगे। आप किसी जमीन छीनेंगे तो लड़ाई करेंगे पक्का। तो हमें वो लड़ाई की जगह क्या करना है, कॉन्फ्लिक्ट से कॉन्सेंसस करना। कॉन्सेंसस कैसे होगा कि अगर ये इंडस्ट्री, फार्मर्स और गवर्नमेंट मिल जाए और कहें कि भाई हमें 1 साल के लिए जो फूड ग्रेन प्रोडक्शन है, हमारे को बफर चाहिए क्योंकि कोई लड़ाई होगी, वॉर हो गया, किसी चीज़ से लड़ाई होगी, हमें अपनी शक्ति रखनी है कि हम किसी के पास जाकर भेजना मांगे। हम अपनी कहते हैं उसको आत्मनिर्भरता करिए, सेल्फ रिलायंस करिए, वो करना। उसके बाद जो हम कर रहे हैं, नेक्स्ट लुक एट, वी विल डू कमर्शलाइज्ड सेल, जिसमें फार्मर का भी ऑल आवर स्टेक होल्डर्स, जिसकी जमीन है वो स्टेक होल्डर है, अगर बिजनेस में पैसा पड़ा वो स्टेक होल्डर है, बैंक उसमें डाल रहा है पैसा स्टेक होल्डर, सरकार आ रही। तो एक बड़ा कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव गेम प्लान, इसमें बायां हाथ दाएं हाथ को पता ना चले, ऐसे काम नहीं कर सकते। तो अब हमारे पॉलिटिशियंस को सबको मिलके एक बड़ा सोचना पड़ेगा कि हम केवल कानून जाके बना देते हैं, एयर कंडीशन रूम में कानून नहीं बनेगी। एयर कंडीशन रूम में आप स्टेक होल्डर से बात करिए, आप उसको लाइए। और इसलिए हमने कहा कि फार्मर की चैलेंज कुछ और, फार्मर की चैलेंज क्या है। आज देखिए, हम मुंबई में रह रहे हैं, गुड़गांव में रह रहे हैं, या किसी चेन्नई में रह रहे हैं, wherever we are staying in big cities, urban megapolis in India itself, and there are many places in the world. Our challenge is both electricity and water, energy resource and water. अब मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, हमारी सिचुएशन इतनी खराब है, we need to do more hydro, क्योंकि we are getting only 50 liters per capita of water at this point of time, ठीक है? And that is urban. रूरल की 25 से 30 हो गई। ये इतनी बड़ी क्राइसिस है, इसके बारे में कोई नहीं पूछता। और आप देखिए क्या हुआ था, हमारे बड़े बड़े बांध थे, तो उसमें मैं सब डिस्कशन करूँगा, बट इन ब्रीफ मैं कह रहा हूँ, पानी की रिसोर्सेज कहाँ थी जब शुरू में, जब नेहरू साहब प्राइम मिनिस्टर, दैट टाइम अर्ली डेवलपमेंट एंड लाल बहादुर शास्त्री टाइम पे अर्ली डेवलपमेंट से ये डैम आया, तो बाकरा दंगल आई, बहुत बड़ी बात, इसीलिए वो पंजाब के फार्मर रिच हैं। अब वो बाकरा दंगल आया, सैलम आया साउथ में, मेट्रो आया, वहाँ पर वो भी तमिलनाडु कर्नाटका बॉर्डर में, वहाँ पर इडुक्की आया केरल में, आप बिहार आया उत्तर प्रदेश में, ये आप देखते जाइए, हीराकुड आया उड़ीसा में, दामोदर वैली आई गाँव ईस्ट में, तो कोयना इतना बड़ा प्रोजेक्ट महाराष्ट्र का, तो बिजली का भी है परियोजना और वन ऑफ द बिगेस्ट हाइड्रो स्कीम्स। यू नो ऑफ कोर्स बिग वाटर शेयरिंग में 3 स्टेट्स का, तेलंगाना और महाराष्ट्र और कर्नाटक का थोड़ा वाटर शेयरिंग में अभी भी डिस्प्यूट है, बैठना चाहिए, तो ठीक करना चाहिए, इसकी कोई ना पूरी बिजली कम निकालना, ठीक है? तो दीज आर इश्यूज दैट आर कम इन फ्रंट ऑफ अस। उसके बाद कहाँ डेवलपमेंट हुई, बीच में हमारा एकदम स्टॉप हो गया हाइड्रो डेवलपमेंट। और हुआ क्या, द बिगेस्ट डैम दैट केम और इंदिरा सागर डैम, that is again on the Narmada, and the Sardar Sarovar project. These were big. Now we have many projects that are getting shape धीरे-धीरे, and Tehri आ गई। तो Tehri में जो चिपको आंदोलन आपको पता था कितने जोर से चला था, पर अब आप देखिए Tehri township one of the finest townships you can ever visit. I'm telling you, one of the best township you can visit. और वो क्या गया, दिल्ली में बाढ़ नहीं आई जब वो इतना ज़्यादा पानी आ गया था उत्तराखंड में, Tehri saved it because Tehri was like जब तक Tehri पूरी भर गई और जब तक वहाँ से नहीं, तो अगर Tehri नहीं होती तो सारा पानी दिल्ली को ले लेता। अगर हम इस तरह नहीं सोच रहे, हम सोच रहे हैं कि जब बन रहा था हम लड़ रहे थे, So we were not thinking about it. So I think जो stakeholders को भी समझाना और कहना, और ये सबमर्जेस हो रही है, सारे आ जाते हैं, डैम एक्टिविस्ट आ जाते हैं, रोक लेते हैं सारे मुझे, स्टोरेज भारत में हो नहीं रहे, हम सारे रन ऑफ रिवर में चले गए। रन ऑफ रिवर ज़्यादा डेंजरस है मेरे हिसाब से, because you are diverting the river. Constant diversion of river flows in short distances will create trouble, which happened in Uttarakhand. So diversion of river to a certain extent is okay. Beyond a point, too much of diversion is dangerous. So we must have hybrid storage. Storage is essential because the benefit of hydro is not power. Power is an incidental. I always say power is incidental to benefit of water. और ये तो अब मैं आपको बोलने की जरूरत नहीं है। भाखड़ा से देखिए 4-5 राज्यों को फायदा हो रहा है, नर्मदा से भी 4-5 राज्यों को बेनिफिट मिलता है। ऑफ कोर्स पानी का बेनिफिट करता है, ये क्या बोलते हैं आपका सरदार सरोवर का बेनिफिट गुजरात हो गया, और आप अगर इंदिरा सागर लगा लो तो आपको पता चलेगा इंदिरा सागर का बेनिफिट पूरा मध्य प्रदेश को मिल रहा है, ओंकारेश्वर की बिजली मध्य प्रदेश को मिल रही है। तो वी हैव टू गो इन डीप इनटू दिस। अभी एक प्रोजेक्ट लगा हुआ प्राइवेट सेक्टर में, हो सकता है कि अच्छे लोग ओन करते हैं एफकॉन जैसे, या फिर सम बिग आउट कंपनीज ओन करती है इसको, तो शायद वो बन जाता है। लेकिन Mysore Hydro is now being done by Eskomars. So the government has to go tight on these kind of people who are destroying the projects. उस पे सिट बैठा हुआ है इतने सालों से, कोर्ट में केस चल रहे हैं, भाई उठाओ उसको पेनल्टी डालो, टेक सम प्यूनिटिव एक्शन। सबसे बढ़िया प्रोजेक्ट था Mysore Hydro, तो प्राइवेट सेक्टर में किया नहीं था। और ऐसा नहीं है, जयप्रकाश ने बड़ा अच्छा प्रोजेक्ट बनाया था, वो कच्चल मानपुर, इट वाज द फास्टेस्ट कंप्लीटेड प्रोजेक्ट इन द country, but क्या हुआ? When they got into financial mismanagement, ultimately they sold off their gold. वो प्रोजेक्ट अब JSW के पास है, वो अपना सोना बेचना पड़ा फाइनेंशियल मिसमैनेजमेंट से। तो ये भी सोचना पड़ेगा। इस बात की प्राइवेट सेक्टर काम नहीं कर सकती। I believe both the public and private sector can do fantastic work, but there is some financial discipline, there is some methodology of doing things. हर चीज हम L1 पे टेंडर आता है लोएस्ट तो चाइनीज से ले जाए के साथ, भाई L1 बंद करो पहले, ऐसा काम करो कि जो क्वालिफाइड है उसको तो जब आप L1 पे लगा दो। ये सारी चीज बड़ी जरूरी है बोलना। L1 is not the right thing. L1 is सबसे सस्ता, cheapest. The word cheap is very dangerous. We have to make it competitive, and on parameters it should be, you should pay a little bit more for technology. या कोई नया मेथड के लिए आप पैसा दो, आप तो गए टेंडर L1 कर दो, दोस्त को दे दो भाई, दोस्त को चलो चाइना कोट करेगा, सब आधा कोट करेगा, खरीद करो फिर उसके बाद। चाइनीज इकोनॉमी को हमने प्रमोट किया इस L1 के थे, सस्ता लोएस्ट। भाई हम खरीद नहीं पाएंगे कि वो वहां सब्सिडीज के साथ चल रहा है, हम फार्मर्स के साथ लड़ रहे हैं सब्सिडी। भाई फार्म सब्सिडी कुछ नहीं है, 3.5% पे वहां यू कैन रेज कैपिटल। आई नो चाइनीज कंपनी रेजिंग कैपिटल 2%। हाउ विल एन इंडियन कॉर्पोरेट हु इज गेटिंग फ्रॉम बैंक्स इंटरेस्ट ऑफ वर्किंग कैपिटल 12%, 14%, how would he compete with the Chinese company getting capital at 3.5%? सोचना शुरू करो यार, फाइनेंशियल इंजीनियरिंग करो। मैं I'm telling the government through this today live कि you must get into the business of financial engineering. You must find a way out कि हम उनको कैसे मैच करें। Open the economy up, let the states also canvass for funds. उसको मैं कहता हूँ कि फेडरल फाइनेंशियल ऑटोनॉमी जरूरत है इस देश में। भाई FDI आ रही है तो क्यों महाराष्ट्र का मुख्यमंत्री क्यों नहीं बात कर सकता, केरल का मुख्यमंत्री क्यों नहीं बात कर सकता, कर्नाटक का मुख्यमंत्री क्यों नहीं बात, सारे मुख्यमंत्री अपनी FDI के लिए बात करें। गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया उस पर रडार रखे कि भाई क्या आ रहा है, गलत पैसा आ रहा है। They have to be informed, they have just to be in the loop, but they did not go into finding the FDI क्यों आ रही है। Let all the states compete for FDI। अच्छे प्लान तो कंपटीशन होगा स्टेट्स के बीच में, फिर वो बुलाएंगे लोग काम करने के लिए, देन आपका जो 5 ट्रिलियन का आप 10 ट्रिलियन 20 ट्रिलियन कर सकते हैं। मैं तो कह रहा हूँ भारत विल बी 13 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी बाय 2030 प्रोवाइडेड ये फेडरल फाइनेंशियल ऑटोनॉमी का सोचा जाए। बड़ी इश्यूज है, but they are not simple things कि I'm interested in one small project, solar project, one project, data project, उससे काम नहीं होता। We have to do some big things. So we have some questions, I will quickly answer and then we will declare the 13th Prakash Maharashtra Awards today. But first is I feel a few questions Jaga can wish to take and I will quickly answer those.
We will commence with, we will have these short discussions with renowned energy sector person, Professor A.J. Iyer, who is also the President of Renewable Energy Professor Association, and the Inertia Foundation. He is also the Associate Dean of NDIM, the New Delhi Institute of Management, where he is also the Professor for Global Business Environment, Government and Public Policy. So, Professor, I welcome to this forum.
Hello.
The very first question what I would like to go to the present scenario is, what is the present scenario post the COVID?
See, COVID is one, I would say, event in the world where we are still trying to find out what exactly this virus was all about. Leaving that discussion and coming to the fact that what economic impact it had, nobody can refute the fact that the global economy would see an approximate shrinking of about 25 to 30%. It's not only India, it's a kind of a global scene. So, should we fear this shrinking? My answer is no. I'm saying we probably need to reinvent ourselves after this particular shrinking. Welcome Prashad, please join us. We have to see. Please join me. You can come, so come on. Come on, please, come. Come. The camera is there in front of you. You'll be walking. Please come. Are you ready? Please take a seat. So basically, it's very important to see what will actually impact the future. See, what we have lost, the time of something like 9 months are lost, or close to a year, or 2020 becomes a 0 year. But do we look at what we have lost, or we see glass is half full or half empty? So my view is glass is half full. How to fill this glass? How do you do it? So I think things are very different if you look at it. What it is, one thing is there that people have now understood. Wasteful expenditure has to be taken care of. I'm not talking about whether you work from home or work from office. I'm not discussing it. First is, the world economy has to understand wasteful expenditure की तरफ मत जाओ. The second, the economy has to understand कि we need money, but we also need time for ourselves. हमें अपने लिए भी समय चाहिए. ये बहुत बड़ी चीज़ है जो लोगों के दिमाग में डालना चाहता हूँ कि आप अपना समय भी कितना समय सी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में लोग 24 घंटे काम करेंगे तो क्या करेंगे? वो मेहनत भी करनी है. लेकिन what we will come to a new system of a 5-day week in India. I feel we should start thinking on these ideas. Why do we want to work 7 days a week? Can we work 5 days a week and keep 2 days for ourselves? I'm not saying 2 days is like the Americans go to the beach and do all the fun and all that. Not that. Probably 2 days for ourselves, where 1 day we could probably take care of it. But just get along and 1 day is rest. But that 2 days would take mega huge productivity can come back to you, because maybe I want to write a book, maybe I want to do some hobby of myself. हमें समय कहाँ मिल रहा है? सब कुछ क्या कॉर्पोरेट्स के साथ ही कॉर्पोरेट वर्ल्ड में एनवायरमेंट में काम करके हमें वही करना है, या हमें कुछ करना है? हो सकता है मेरा मिशन हो कि मैं बच्चों को सर्व करूँ, मैं अनाथ आश्रम में जाकर अपना काम करूँ. So maybe we should give time. और सारा कुछ करेंसी नहीं है. So this is the one big message this thing has done. आपकी ब्रेक लग गई गाड़ी में, तो आप उसको सोचो. हम लीडर्स के हिसाब से, लीडर्स are failures. Let me tell you worldwide. Don't talk of one leader. Show me a leader who succeeded. So we are coming up with the world ranking. In my world ranking, the number 1 leader is Chancellor Angela Merkel. You must understand why I am selecting Angela Merkel as the world leader. Because simple thing, 3.8 trillion economy है, she's committed 2.6 trillion for revival. भाई कौन सी इकोनॉमी में हम बात कर रहे हैं 20 मिलियन की, कोई कुछ बात कर रहा है, अमेरिका कुछ बात कर रहा है, वो बाइडेन कम्स एंड डज समथिंग बेटर. ट्रम्प बात कर रहे थे फॉर 3 ट्रिलियन तेरी इकोनॉमी में सफा हो जाएगा. 23 ट्रिलियन तुम्हारी इकोनॉमी, 3 ट्रिलियन अमेरिकन इकोनॉमी ग्रो ही सारी 1.5% कर रही है. 3 ट्रिलियन सफा हो जाएगा, तेरे पास क्या चार्ज जवाब है? इंडियन इकोनॉमी को बड़ा सीरियस इशू है, क्योंकि अगर हम 30% स्लैश हो जाए तो वी आर पर 2.9 ट्रिलियन, आ जाएंगे वापस 2 ट्रिलियन. Maybe we may not be 2 trillion, but we 2.2 trillion because there is some fraction of the foreign exchange reserves. But हमें पे करना ना, अपने लोन्स भरने ना वापस. तो आपकी अगर फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रिजर्व अगर 600 मिलियन हो गई, तो भी आपका क्या काम होगा? आप 300 मिलियन तो कमिट करेंगे अपने रिपेमेंट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट एंड बाकी चीजों पे, बाकी 300 के साथ क्या करेंगे? आपको बड़ा टफ नेगोशिएशन करना पड़ेगा वर्ल्ड बैंक से कि इन दिस सिचुएशन अब हमारे पास हमारा ये हो गया, आप हमें 0 इंटरेस्ट पे अब हमको और 10 साल दीजिए ये लोन रिटर्न करने. अब हम खाली ये बात करेंगे, नो, द अफ्रीकन कंट्रीज विल कम, ऑल द वर्ल्ड कंट्रीज विल कम. कितना बड़ा चैलेंज है देखिए. तो ये बड़ा चीज़ है। तो इसमें लड़ाई क्या हो रही है? लड़ाई ये हो रही है, हमारे दोस्त हैं ब्रैड कंपो, इज माय एसोसिएट डायरेक्टर जनरल फॉर कांग्रेस जनरल इन कैनेडा. He has written a paper, and that paper may come out in egg on the face of most world leaders. He is coming out with an idea called prosperity theft. क्या सरकारों ने अपनी जनता का प्रॉस्पेरिटी थेफ्ट किया है? क्या इनकी खुशहाली की चोरी करी है? प्रॉस्पेरिटी थेफ्ट की खुशहाली की चोरी. अब क्या कंसेप्ट आ? तो इसमें सारे फंसेंगे. दुनिया भर की सरकारों का सवाल पूछा जाएगा, और ये कोई वो बोलेगा ये लेफ्ट है, सोशलिस्ट है, कुछ नहीं. आई एम हार्डकोर कैपिटलिस्ट. फर्क ये है कि हम जब ये सवाल अभी उन्होंने एनर्जी सिनारियो की बात की कोविड के बाद, एक हार्डकोर कैपिटलिस्ट मैं बोलता हूँ, क्या हम अपने लोगों को अंत्योदय दे रहे हैं? अंत्योदय किसने बोला? अब आप बताइए. अंत्योदय बोलेंगे आइडिया प्रोफेसर साहब का राइट की आइडिया बात है. देयर इज नथिंग फॉर राइट. मैं तो अपने फ्रेंड्स को, राइट के फ्रेंड्स को याद दिला रहा हूँ. अंत्योदय मीन्स रीचिंग द लास्ट मैन. रीचिंग द लास्ट मैन. ये वाजपेयी साहब का होते ना, आपको एक तरह से अंतरात्मा अंत्योदय की तरफ जा रही है. अंत्योदय क्या है कि आखिरी पर्सन जो बैठा हो उसको भी आपके रिसोर्स पहुंचे, उसको भी आपकी मतलब खुशहाली वहां तक जानी चाहिए. ये डेमोक्रेसी है. तो ये तो अब देखा गया कि ये अब देखेंगे कि मैच करता है लेफ्टिस्ट साइकोलॉजी से कि भाई आखिरी आदमी के पास जाना है, क्योंकि अदरवाइज तो हमारा जो क्रोनी कैपिटलिज्म है वो कहता है कि जो पीछे पिछड़ता है उसको छोड़ो, रेस भागो, तो गिर गया. और ये तो नहीं हो सकता ना, हम उसके साथ उठा के जाएंगे उसमें. ये तो चलेगा. वी हैव टू टेक द पीपल, वी कैन नॉट अलाउ पीपल टू फॉल. सो ये कोई लेफ्टिस्ट आइडिया बहुत बड़ी लड़ाई होती है. विच फाइट ऑन वेदर वी आर हैविंग, आई एम कॉलिंग इट डेमोक्रेटिक. माय बुक इंडिया ब्रांडिश, इफ एनीबॉडी वांट्स टू टेक इट. Take this book India Brandish, which Vajpayee Sahab loved. I have written about this. It's called democratic capitalism thinks with socialism. सोशलिज्म कोई बैड कंसेप्ट नहीं है, हमारी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में लिखा हुआ और वो बहुत अलग है. वो कार्ल मार्क्स की थ्योरी नहीं है, वो थॉमसन टोल्स्टॉय की सोशलिज्म की बात करो. थोड़ा सा हट के सोचो. सोशलिज्म कोई वो कम्युनिज्म कार्ल मार्क्स ने लिखी. वो कार्ल मार्क्स सोशलिज्म लिख रहा था, लिखना कम्युनिज्म था. और कम्युनिज्म एक्सट्रीम फॉर्मेट में लेके गया जिसमें ऑटोक्रेसी आ गई. वो हमारे रेड डायरी लिखी गई बहुत से उन्हें लिखी. ठीक है. सो दैट इज नॉट व्हाट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट. वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट प्रॉस्पेरिटी फॉर ऑल. सबका साथ सबका विकास. कहां से होगा? आप बिजली नहीं पहुंचाएंगे, पानी नहीं पहुंचाएंगे, सबका साथ कहां से होगा? भाई हमको मंदिर सब जाना. सबसे बड़ा मंदिर है कि आप प्रोजेक्ट बनाएंगे. सबसे बड़ा मंदिर सोलर प्लांट बनाएंगे. पावगढ़ में 2000 मेगावाट का कर्नाटक में सोलर प्लांट दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा बना हुआ है. वो जिसने बनाया, आप पॉलिटिक्स में सोचिए, उसने जो गवर्नमेंट थी इसने सबसे बड़ा बनाया. मैं बड़ा खुश हूँ कि सबसे बड़ा प्लांट बना. इसी तरह मैं खुश था जब 214 मेगावाट की हमारे घर हम नहीं बता था उस समय. पांडे साहब को सब कहा था, पांडे साहब कुछ करिए. तो गुजरात में सबसे बड़ा सोलर पार्क बना था उस समय. गोलमुट पार्क से बड़ा बना, चाइना के गोलमुट पार्क से बिगेस्ट पार्क बना. गुजरात सोलर पार्क 214 मेगावाट. आई वाज स्पेशल गेस्ट ऑफ ऑनर विजिटेड दैट. So scenario, my answer to you, Kangarajan, for this is that today we are at 375 gigawatt, and we have written here that we want to go to 750 gigawatt, and we want renewable traction. उसमें 46 gigawatt हमारा हाइड्रो पावर है, and about 85 to 90 gigawatt is our entire renewable energy traction. इसमें solar and wind है together. Solar अभी 40 gigawatt की तरफ चला गया है, और wind भी कम नहीं है, wind भी काफी close to that है. But अब क्या हुआ? Solar caught up with wind. पर हमारे लिए इधर चैलेंज क्या है? 40 gigawatt of solar is basically only 20% or 19% of the energy. Field efficiencies are only 50 to 16%. नए प्लांट के साथ we can get about 19 to 23% आ सकती है. But basically our challenge is that wind का भी यही हाल है. Wind will be 28% to 35%. Energy conversion की बात आती है. So I will not be impractical. अगर आप किसी, if you look at a supercritical thermal power plant, let's come to I'm a hardcore supporter of renewable. Yet I am not impractical. So if you go there, thermal power plant, the thermal efficiency of an ultra supercritical power plant will be close to 50% in terms of energy consumption. So वो plant हमें ज़्यादा stable देगा. And ये सारे solid state power plants. These cannot come on the line and go out. A solar power plant continue to generate just like thermal power plant, just like nuclear power plant. Once a nuclear reaction starts, forever unless you take it down. So these are plants, but nuclear is renewable. It doesn't produce carbon. So for me, nuclear is renewable. Right? We are only discussing safety issues here. Nuclear is just like the largest nuclear power plant for us in front of us is the ever-acting sun. Sun के अंदर जो reactions है nuclear, but we get the heat energy of the nuclear, which the whole world gets benefited from. So थोड़ा सोचें solar energy नहीं, हम उसकी light energy को ट्रैप करके who are producing the electrons are, producing the solar. So what we call the solar photovoltaic effect. So basically, we must go into science and physics and then train our next generation on this and understand all our. It's not this versus that. हमें बुके चाहिए. गुलदस्ता होगा तो सुंदर होगा. So गुलदस्ता of renewable energy is great. But thermal, I do not think that we can do away with thermal for 10 years. कम से कम 10 साल हमें थर्मल को रख के हमें बाकी एनर्जी की तरफ जाना पड़ेगा, जैसे सोलर है, विंड है, बायो एनर्जी है. So today, that's my answer to this, that after COVID, let us look at a new game plan. Let's look at a game plan how to make renewable more popular. Solar is definitely a hero, but it has got a low. Somebody will say storage करना ना, storage बाद में करते हैं. पहले आप सोचिए, you start thinking storage की क्वेश्चन है आपका. थोड़ा बाकी चीज पहले हम देखते हैं, हम rooftop अपने बाकी चीज लैंड इसकी इंटीग्रेट करके कैन डू सोलर, कैन डू हाइब्रिडाइजेशन, विंड जहाँ पे विंड फार्म लगे हुए. Let's do what's possible right now.
May I take this opportunity to welcome Prakash Sharma, one of the jury members for this flagship Prakash May Inertia Awards, which is being done in memory of our late founder Prakash Sharma. Welcome, Prakash. Professor, while in this, are we really doing justice to our renewable energy portfolio?
See, that's a very good question, because right now the Honorable Prime Minister, he has a plan. He has said that we will do 450 gigawatt of renewable energy by the year 2030. So this is the first time I am disagreeing with him, on this particular issue. Because I believe we can do 400 gigawatt of Russell report. We will do 400 gigawatt of solar itself by 2025. So where is the question of renewable? And then this will this 450 target include the present capacity of the renewable energy, which will be 90 gigawatt, I told you, of solar, wind and bio, and plus 46 gigawatt. Roughly, we already have about 140 gigawatt of this. So if we minus that, then the target is very poor. So I am being very clear that we need to put proper targets up. So it can't be 450 gigawatt by 2030. It has to be 450. No, 400 itself is wind. Itself is solar.
The target should be lower.
No, the target should be higher. No, the target has to be higher. I mean to say, target for capacity addition has to be higher. By 2025, we would be more or less doing 600 to 650 gigawatt of renewable energy. That's my point. So you can't put up a target of 450 gigawatt of renewable for 2030. Somebody is put up a wrong figure in front of the Prime Minister and is to catch hold of the throat of these people who have done this. कुछ तो mismatch हुआ, कुछ तो गड़बड़ हुई है. ठीक है? So maybe it will be corrected. We have sent our papers. We have already got RUSM of 100 gigawatt by 2022, which the government of India has adopted, which we released in 2030. So that's my answer. So we must do justice to portfolio. क्योंकि हम कह रहे हैं परचेस कहाँ से करेगा, तो पोर्टफोलियो नहीं होगा. जनरेट तो इन्होंने एक नया कंसेप्ट लाया, रिन्यूएबल परचेस ऑब्लिगेशन पहले बताया, फिर उसके बाद वो नया हमने ये पॉइंट आउट किया कि पोर्टफोलियो नहीं है, तो नया क्या कहते हैं जनरेशन ऑब्लिगेशंस. They brought the generation obligation. So why do we complicate? Why don't we talk market language? Portfolio is the market language. अगर आपको इन्वेस्टमेंट चाहिए तो पोर्टफोलियो की बात. So these are very simple things I am talking about, which can make it easy for the sector to progress. If you talk portfolio, for financial managers will understand our language and they will come and invest.
Professor, what is your view on the 30 megawatt mega solar power?
30 gigawatt.
30 gigawatt solar power project, which has been announced by Prime Minister Modi in Kutch.
See, actually, the problem with Ran of Kutch is I have been there. I have been to the border of Nalia when Sanghi Cement was trying to make a cement plant there long ago. So I have been to this Kutch region and I used to see wild boars roaming around in my ambassador car. I used to see flying snakes flying with my car. I have seen that kind of Kutch before the earthquake. The only airlines which were flying were Jet Airways, which is now gone, and Indian Airlines, Air India भी नहीं. The Indian Airlines हो गई और दिन का एक फ्लाइट होता था दोनों का, बुझ जाने का. And from वहाँ से हम गाड़ी लेके आगे वो सांगीपुरम जाते थे. Sanghi Cement. Of course, that's the largest cement plant, but somehow I want to discuss that. He's a very nice man. He was trying to build, which was scorpion काटते थे. ये हाल होता था. इतना बुरा हाल होता था. उस एरिया में. तो what happened is, in the 30 gigawatt that has been announced in Kutch region, I have only one point to make. First is these lands are all salt pan lands and they are very close to the sea. Highly corrosive environment, and which we are already seeing in the Gujarat park. It's very difficult to maintain any asset. So do we want to build such a big asset over there? Maybe it could be a challenge, to maintain a 30 gigawatt asset over there because of the type of land, type of environment. दूसरी चीज़ is highly earthquake prone. So and environmental aspect and हमने देखा जामनगर में वो चक्रवात आया, cyclones. This whole area is highly active. So my thing is, in terms of climate change, the biggest impact will come on that. So this asset, which is the solar, anything happens, barely time takes to, this asset will have to be completely built. अगर कुछ हो गया है, even अगर बारिश जोरदार आ जाए तो भी बड़ी मुश्किल है. I would say a safer bet would be to look at Rajasthan with Thar, because it does not have any sea. So it's much better because it's very much similar to the Middle East. If you look at the desert. So if any desert idea has to be put, I think Rajasthan may make a better option than Kutch for me. Right? The second point is our western corridor is full of electricity. Maharashtra is the highest in 40 gigawatt, and our neighbor Gujarat is having about 30 gigawatt. So do we want to push all the electricity into this? अभी 3000 मेगावाट भी अगर हमारा नेबरिंग गुजरात यहाँ भेजना चाहे, 40 सोच लेते कभी कांग्रेस हो जाते कभी ये हो जाता है, but 3000 मेगावाट भी आना चाहे, तो we are unable to transport this power using the grid. So we have a grid bottleneck. हम ग्रीन कॉरिडोर की बात कर रहे हैं, लेकिन जनरल कॉरिडोर ही अवेलेबल नहीं है, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी ट्रांसपोर्ट के लिए अवेलेबल नहीं है. तो what are we thinking about? The only HVDC line is the one that is being built by Adani long time back, which is an ABB line going from Gujarat to Haryana, which is the ABB-led HVDC line. Very few people know that this is probably the only HVDC line of the country, taking power to the north. That time the Chief Minister in Gujarat was Narendra Modi Sahib, and Haryana Chief Minister was Huda. For different parties, but yet they cooperated, and it was for taking the Mundra power off to the place. So I'm talking of federal cooperation, even today can come. But while federal cooperation can come, the biggest challenge is if we are not able to export this power to nearby states, what is the use of putting up such a big capacity nearby? And then we know our window is only 6 hours for solar. So that sun comes and goes. So that time we will have to ask, and we cannot back down thermal power plants. It's very difficult. They are all to be designed for flexible. No thermal power plant can back down. Only plants which can back down are gas and hydro. No other power plants can back down.
So why can't we for policy
No, that is not possible. See, asset build up for HVDC. Is my voice coming? Asset build up. See, the cost of building these assets is phenomenal. So we are coming to a question later, Tyagarajan is going to ask, whether we want to do a decentralized development or do we want to do a grid-based development. How much of the grid we want to do, even if it's unified. So there is a capacity limitation of the grid. Because today, complex question, we are a 50 Hz grid. We have to sustain the frequency. And if we too much of the frequency dish, then the discoms have to buy power at a very heavy cost. Suppose which Prasad and Hogan Prasad has explained many times, and I have also spoken about it. But to explain that if we go to 47.5 Hz, then we draw power, we draw power at approximately 15 rupees a unit. And today also, if we draw power 49.5 Hz also, then also we will have to draw at 8 rupees. If a discount draws the price at 8 rupees, then discount margin and all they'll sell at 15 to 20 rupees. It will be completely uneconomical. So, and if the discounts have been told by the grid manager that you buy power at 50 plus, that means 50.05 Hz also, then it will give you free. But you will never go to 50.05 Hz, always the frequency is below 50. Right? So we have these technical issues, and this is to save our power asset, because any big mechanical surge goes back into our machines. It will blow like a bomb. Thermal power plant will be blown. No turbine or generator. We know what is electricity all about. So we are trying to save our assets. We are trying to have a grid discipline. We don't want the grid to trip. We want a sustained operation. These are all, and then we are also the cyber security threat. Somebody comes from outside and does something with your system. Entire electricity can go. So how much of it we want to keep centralized is a very important question that is coming now.
5 years back, 60% of India went to power.
Yeah, but that's all gone now. That will not happen in that time. That is because but that was physical. See, that is stupid because the southern grid was not connected. So this is not a subject that we should discuss now because it's already gone. हुआ क्या था, Southern Grid was never connected to rest of the country. So that at that time, Shishir Kumar Shinde approved that project finally because he wrote a very deadly article called The Roots of Power Board, like the gangs of Wassel in the election. We wrote a cover. And then later on, within 2 years, South was connected to the rest of the country. South had a problem, wind power bun rahi hai, lekin evacuate nahi ho rahi hai. So exactly that's what I'm saying. We make so much of power just besides, and Maharashtra has enough capacity growing also. Where will Gujarat sell the power? Which state Gujarat will sell the power? And then we are still fighting within the state right of way. If we have a small power plant of my own, maybe 20 kilometers away, and I want to consume as a unit, they are disallowing. Many times the states are violating the open access situation. So we have to first get into the state itself becomes sometimes a lawbreaker. So the state has to ensure that they don't violate their own open access and they don't do all these mistakes. A national grid will benefit you only when you do that. But at the same time, I believe that why not build a separate power plant for the MMR region and CCR region so that it doesn't have to buy power from a distant power plant and transport power. So we need to hybridize all these things. Exactly, and the solar gives an opportunity to, for me, solar and gas. I'm doing different. Solar and gas gives me a hybrid opportunity and conducive opportunity to actually build hybrid power plants. Of course, wind can also come in wherever it's possible. So we need to hybridize clean energy. Not only renewable, because gas reduces carbon emission by 77% compared to coal. So I would see gas as a clean fuel and see it as a great hybridizer with my renewable. So gas is flexible. जब मुझे सोलर नहीं मिला मैं गैस लेगा ताकि बैटरी बैकअप कर सकता है. Now we come to that question.
The next question was this: why does the hydropower initiative stand as a way?
Oh, hydro, my friends, I love hydro. As I told you, hydro is most important. We need to develop hydro not only in India, we must develop the hydro for Bhutan and make them a rich economy. Already, the hydropower we are generating from Tala and the Magdechu projects, roughly we have something like close to 2000 megawatt coming into the grid in Bhutan, and that is almost contributing to 12% of the Bhutanese GDP, and it may go to 22% over a period of time. If I tell you Kumasan Chotu comes on the grid, there will be already 22% of the Bhutanese economy in pure hydropower. Tariff paid by India, now we are paying some 4 rupees 12 paisa per unit in the bilateral tariff. So that we can do with Northeast also. Because Northeast, we don't think it in this manner. If we can develop in Bhutan, all our Northeast is great potential. Entire Arunachal is a 200 gigawatt potential. Just Arunachal, just one state.
Yeah. Why can't we be more proactive?
See, we are already proactive, but the whole problem lies there is our Babudam, because it has to, the financial issues related to investing in hydro energy is more important. Billions of dollars will come into it. So whether we want to go through the old-fashioned model of giving grants and debt, which is short debt, normally we are giving 30% grant for the Bhutanese projects, and we are giving about 10% interest for 10 years. I don't think that is 10% is a huge interest for them in hydropower. I see.
We have a price mechanism where we benefit.
See, price is 4 rupees 12 paisa is not a big price to pay for hydropower, clean energy. And then it benefits us because that comes the power links transmission, which is a Tata joint venture with the power grid, which brings the electricity from there to Benares at Varanasi. It comes right across the Chicken Neck into Bhutan, and then we have another corridor from Assam coming in. So transporting of power is a challenge, but we are doing it. But what's happening to that? It has got a limitation. As we grow, we will have to find new corridors to bring power from Bhutan. It's another great challenge for us. But more importantly, we can absorb an entire 30 gigawatt that Bhutan is building because we need all that electricity. And Bhutan needs to sell all that. And the best bet is for them to sell to India. And of course, we can have a trilateral.
Does that also involve defense policy?
See, I will not put defense into it at all because for the simple reason, slowly and steadily, economic impact will put a defense impact for you. I'll tell you, explain to you what it means. See, today, Bangladesh also has become part of this South Asian region. I wrote it in 1997-98 in the Indian Express newspaper called the Business Reviews, and first time I suggested a South Asian regional grid, SARC. It has become a reality today. So at that time people said, Professor, you keep taking too much in advance outsourcing. And what is happening today? NTPC is selling power, thermal power to Bangladesh. And what happens to Bhutan also? Many times hydropower is not available to Bhutan. That time it's our power going. So in a way, thermal power from India is also getting into the Bhutan grid. And we are in this situation. What we are doing is precisely we are doing an energy banking across the regional grid. So it may still not be a SAR grid. Myanmar can come in. So our entire security in the region, if we want to contest China, is to get these countries who are friendly with us and then work with them an energy policy. Correctly, if you think of the entire grid, not only electricity grid, think of water grids, think of gas grids, think of road grids, think of telecom grids. इसको बढ़ाओ, इसको ना economic engagement को बढ़ाओ. इसको बड़ा छोटा सा मत सोचो कि ये चीज करनी है. Maybe waste grid, हो सकता है waste management का grid बनाना. क्योंकि हम अपने waste को कैसे treat करेंगे? Can make waste a resource. Our entire economic ideology has to change from very corner. I'm not discussing energy alone. I'm saying when you do smart grid, then we have to. A smart grid does not mean an electric grid. A smart grid means a gas grid. A smart grid means water grid. A smart grid means sewage and waste grid. All the grids have been talked about. The smart city के project ये सब नहीं सोच रहे हैं. Smart city की बातें कर रहे हैं. पर ये नहीं हो रहा. So telecommunication grid very important. These are very important. So a digital India cannot be achieved without thinking of the physical India. हमको brick and mortar पर उतनी जोर से करना है जितनी जोर से हम डिजिटल करना चाहते हैं. हमने क्या करते हैं? हम this versus that पे चल रहे हैं. ऐसा लग रहा है कि सारे इंजीनियर्स प्लांट से निकलेंगे and they will go to IT sector because they offer better salary. हमारे टाइम पे भी शुरू हो गया था. People in the campus to join Cortec Computers, HCL, mechanical engineering join कर रहे हैं. I was one guy who did not want to go there. मैंने कैंपस का नहीं दिया जॉब. फिर सिंह को बोला मेरे को प्रोडक्शन में लेके मैंने नहीं ज्वाइन किया. I joined Jyoti Limited Borough. And that is the biggest decision I made in my life to be what I am. क्योंकि मैंने अपनी इंजीनियरिंग नहीं छोड़ी.
Right. So, how do we ensure an all-round growth in the renewable energy, especially in the new potential areas?
Yeah, see, renewable energy has to be seen from two perspectives. We are driving the world through two ideologies. One is energy requirement for the mankind. Basically, direct energy. That means energy can go directly or energy can go as form of electricity. Electricity is a carrier. That means it's intermediate. So what we are doing, we are using this component called electricity as a commodity, very useful commodity indeed, and transforming it into economic activity. That means agriculture, industry, domestic, government. All of them are the economic activities of mankind worldwide. And there is an idea called electricity. So we have to convert this into more and more non-carbon renewable based. That should be the future. But then there is another area called the transport sector. 70% of all energy goes towards electricity production and driving the world. But there is a 30% component to the transport. And then there is another one called the heat needs. Basically cooking needs. Energy is also into cooking, into hospitals, into healthcare, into pharmaceuticals, into process, into so many areas. So we have to treat heat as energy, to treat electricity part of it as energy. Then electricity can drive transport, and electricity can also be a directly burning fuel in the combustion chamber and driving our automobiles. So we have to see three-pronged strategy for it. I believe that electric vehicle is not the only solution, although I love the solution, right? But I believe there will be some intermediate, like we are working on the idea of bio-CNG, converting waste into bio-CNG. So that will be a very major component that we don't change the IC engines, we just change the fuel. So that has two options in it, biodiesel and bio-CNG. Biogas and biodiesel, ये एक तरीका है. And do we only produce, through this only move the transport? No. Decentralized and distributed power, if I can produce 6 hours of solar, I can use my, I can take out the cow dung, I would rather say cow, horse dung, all that, bovine waste, convert biomethanize it, and then run a small IC engine power plant and deliver electricity. So I hybridize this with some batteries, with solar, and make a hybrid power plant for the rural land. And there could be very small wind turbines which can actually, a 40 kilowatt wind turbine, 50 kilowatt wind turbine can give a community power with the solar also. So we need to find what is the best way. And then there are small stream hydro turbines. There are 2 kilowatt, 5 kilowatt turbines which can go to small canal or small head system. So where we can put in the decentralized manner and deliver electricity. So the solution has to be all encompassing. You can't say you build very large power plants, transport electricity. So that is too much of mega and too much of risk every time. So we need to make a proper model to promote renewable energy, and both in a decentralized fashion and also for the needs of the industry across a grid-based area.
So you think that we can create, you think we can create a system?
No,
You think we can create a system that every district that you're talking about, which is restricted because of issues, can be converted into a model where we can create power?
see, decentralization is one of the finest ideas if we can go to that. The problem with our policymakers is they don't want to look at decentralization in a very composite way. So when we see decentralization, see each community itself is a powerhouse of self-consumption, production, and getting to its own needs. So when I say community, it may not be just a city or a town. It could be just an Auroville or a Powai, or it could be a Lonavala Ghat, some near the Bushi Dam, or some small communities. Or it could be very large communities. We can establish new centers of excellence. Maybe we build a center of excellence in Goa, where we have all the best brains coming in doing things. Or we go to a Sindhudurg in Konkan and create a massive new setup for knowledge processing centers, which is powered by renewable energy. It's all possible. But I'm saying the future is to think innovatively. Right? There are concepts. People are saying decongest. There are some people who say blue economy. They say go to the islands and develop the islands. But I think that is too much of a risk for people. Because if the current situation that China is trying to do, some small island is there, they may come and attack that island and take away. So governments may not invest in faraway situations which they cannot control. Government will see the natural security of these places. So some experts have been talking in this direction, and I've been opposing them, saying first correct what you have. You have a Mumbai, you have a Pune, in example of Maharashtra. So you better, maybe you can just outskirts of Pune, 20-30 kilometers, you create an optional city which is ideal city so that you can replicate the model back by retrofitting it here. So you need to develop models which are viable, and you can show that example to community so that they say, okay, हमारे को भी ऐसा करना है. So it's a very difficult process in democracy. See, China, what it's doing is bulldozing and building. Everything that China is doing is not great. 3/4 time is a disaster, if you ask me. It may deliver great power, but it has been funding China like hell. But the same thing cannot be said about Itaipu project in Brazil, which is the finest project, because it's not a Brazil project. It's 4 countries. Itaipu 12,500 megawatt project is a world-class project. It's 4 countries: Uruguay, Paraguay, Brazil, and Argentina. Interesting part is Uruguay's economy, almost 50% of Uruguay's economy is funded by electricity payment of Brazil. Unbelievable. That is the project it is. It must be visited. It's like अगर आपको pilgrimage करना है तो visit Itaipu Dam. तो समझ में आएगा हम क्या करें. So and you know who are controlling that project? Beautifully, it's the municipalities in the region. It's not the governments anymore. It's the municipalities. because वहाँ fishing हो रहा है, navigation, river पे navigation हो रहा है, transportation हो रहा है, इतनी बड़ी economic activity चल रही है. So this is very important.
How does the gas economy offer an integrated approach for RE movement and climate change?
See, gas economy, as I told you, that right now we may look at LNG imports and all that, but I think long run way we have to find a self-sustaining model. So that will be हमारे पास इतना waste है. India has so much of waste. Ideas like biodiesel through Jatropha and other crop, or converting waste to CNG. That is the best way to go forward for India. And long term, instead of transporting gas, I believe that we should look at an Indo-Oman gas pipeline, subsea pipeline. We should share Tapi को टाटा करें. It's the non-stop. अगर तुर्कमेनिस्तान, तुर्कमेनिस्तान and Kazakhstan की gas चाहिए, तो it should go via Chabad, and Iran should be part of it. And now with Biden coming, this could be done. And we make an underwater sea pipeline, multi-fuel pipeline between Oman and India. Oman becomes the Bhutan of the Middle East. Like a tipping point, they get a small tipping and they grow rich. and then they sell gas to us. Only direct gas, कोई regasification करना, ये सब cryogenic storage facility लगाना, ये these are all waste. Actually, we should directly get natural gas into our system and do, or we produce through waste the quantum of biocity. Then we can become a very big, I would say, with renewable and this kind of a model, the country can really move the entire sector, including transport together. I'm making it brief because people may say, yeah, a lot of details are available. Yeah.
How do you see electric vehicles and storage technologies taking place?
Electric vehicle is a great concept, and according to me, it's as I told you that we will also use biofuels as an option. But electric vehicle is a great thing for mass transport. Buses using EV buses, that would be the future. Electric buses, EV buses are the future. Now we have got one company. I don't know, it's a Hungarian company or it's a Czech company, but they have also launched a plane. Electric plane has been launched. First electric commercial plane has been launched. Like just about 48 hours back, we are getting this information now. So,
I'll tell you something. As per the government policy, there are 69,000 petrol pumps in this country. Everyone is going to have an EV
charging station. But that's I would say old role. Because that's your goal. See what happens, the charging stations that you are building, they cannot be built this way. If mega trucks are built to charge, what will happen? Acres of land will be required for them to wait to get charged. Another kind of challenge will come in the picture, and it's not manageable. I'm telling you, just like what happened with our tagging system. Today we are standing in line. So every time it detects, and then again huge crowd is coming there. We have to be very innovative. You have to have exclusive charging stations. These oil and petroleum companies have to be asked to build exclusive charging stations in the country. And these charging stations should have, like suppose I have a vehicle, I should have a standardization of these batteries so that I go there, I pick up the battery and I pack off from there. And the spare batteries are available. So there should be some kind of module in a radius of 200 kilometers so that any vehicle 100 kilometers chal sakta hai. So it goes to that station, picks up its battery, puts the battery, just replaces it 15 minutes and it packs off. It is a way to keep charging his inside. That should be the thing. Pre-charge battery should be available to us, retrofitted, uthaya, dala, chalega. So this is the idea the government has to follow. See, we need not follow what the West is telling us. We need to innovate on this concept. India should be the innovator. So that's the only way we can progress. We can show new things. We did it. I learned this from my engines when I used to sell IC engine power plants. When I sold standard, we did not want to remove the piston and cylinder. हमने पूरी assemblies बेची in spare part. They said when they do it, they take it out and it comes in.
So what has happened to the nuclear energy movement?
See,
do you see any potential in that?
See, I was talking about that 30 megawatt को करने की जगह अगर मिट्टी बिजली का 6000 megawatt plant गुजरात में शुरू हो जाए, it will produce much more energy, out of its small capacity than a solar power plant. So where we need nuclear, it's all renewable. We need to retrofit. And जो अच्छा है वो कर लेना चाहिए. Area भी less required है. थोड़ी nuclear safety की बात है, security की बात है. India is building some fantastic nuclear power plants. We are the only country using a fast breeder reactor at Kalpakam. So let us think of our own innovation capabilities and go forward. Nuclear is here to stay. In the long run, we need nuclear energy. And there could be decentralized nuclear is smaller. Yeah, but we need to go to thorium. India first time can be a leader. 65% of global thorium deposit is in India. So India will first time control raw material and technology both. So technology we can buy, we can control raw material. That's how it is.
What are the challenges of the grid? Is it a good idea to have cross-border grid expansion?
So as I told you, we already have a regional grid. We can expand into Afghanistan and other areas and we can create a larger diaspora. So this potential is large. But whether we need to do only grid-based development or we need to also plan enough decentralization, that's the next question.
Yes. Is it a better idea to go for decentralization?
Both. I say there is nothing like this. I always say you have the brain. The brain is called grey matter. Why it is not called a black matter or white matter? I was discussing with Rawat this issue. I could not tell this at the time. I always say brain is grey matter, man. Grey matter. So let's work on the grey matter. ये black and white क्या होगा?
Right. Manpower, especially engineers and energy economists, are essential in the domain of sustainable energy.
Absolutely, my friend.
What is that future and how do you see the scope in this?
current engineering from even the BTechs from IITs and NITs, I come from an NIT, are incapable of delivering justice to their students. Because I don't want to get into why, but so many things have been written. I feel they should prepare engineers for infrastructure, engineers for power, engineers for renewable energy, engineers for biotechnology, engineers for, I said it very clearly, what I said. So right now it is still the mechanical engineer, electrical, okay, maybe mechanical is available, civil is available. Beyond that, all others have to modulate and they should give them, be architecture. So probably we can go a little bit further, just the civil engineer and the architecture should combine in some areas and bring a new, like town planning engineers. We create our urban infrastructure engineers. Think innovatively and bring programs which can be for the modern age, the 21st century, I would say qualifications. So unless we do this, we have to literally baptize them or energize them and उनको वो ग्रंथ और भगवद गीता वहीं देंगे जहाँ वो बैठे हैं.
Why can't we have more skill development centers?
Skill development is a very temporary, I would say it's like I'm just preparing a finishing school. But if you don't have your basics clear, how do you finish it? You tell me, how do I finish you in the finishing school if you don't have the basics? 4 years of engineering, you learn nothing with your hands. Are you only making some?
Why can't it be incorporated?
No, it cannot be incorporated. See, it's a very big challenge. We need tutors who are ready to go back from industry and spend time with them. So industry people are not giving lecture. The lecturers are doing the PhDs and these PhDs are absolutely no use most of the time. 80% of PhDs are absolutely no use. The PhD just for the heck of it, patent just for the heck of it without commercializing, so no use those patents. So today the culture is, आपने कितने पेटेंट आपने फाइल किए, कितने किए, उसको पूछो तो कितने पेटेंट कमर्शियलाइज हुए, तो कितना कमाया पेटेंट से, तो असली बात पता चलती है.
Can the renewable energy mitigate the challenges through India's rural economy?
100% renewable energy and rural can actually make rural a very, very prosperous area. And I think solar has a huge role in this, and bioenergy has a huge role. So I see solar, bioenergy, and places where we have water bodies, I see small canal-based, I would say, what they call turbines, which basically are small micro turbines. They can, a combination of these factors, that is canal-based micro turbines, small water stream micro turbines, together with smaller wind energy, I would say hybrid plants, then bio-waste, coin waste to energy conversion, agro-waste to energy conversion. So there's a huge potential. It's an integrated approach that we need to plan. Because it's very complex, people say, हमको एक चीज बताइए, दूसरा मत करिए. It's not really like that. They have the multi-phase activity also. कैसे in a microwave we can integrate so that they are not dependent on our grid. See, rural people must not be dependent on grid export of electricity. They must be the decentralized people for us. And that should be the ideal model because that will save the country from cyber attacks, from disconnection. So we must also think of these directions.
Thank you very much. Sorry.
It can't be isolated.
See, first of all, the problem with planners is we think too much of mega without understanding that micro itself is mega. See, if 1.38 billion people can start consuming, the whole country will be prosperous. But if the 1.38 billion people, we only think that roughly some 20-30 million people can only have the disposable income to feed the economy, then you have done it, you had it. That is exactly the point. Create a disposable model, create savings also, and then get them to spending into the economy. Then only this will be only possible when projects and development reach them. So what we are doing the Mickey Mouse business. Which is अच्छा इसको खाना चाहिए, इसको पानी चाहिए, इसको dose दे दो. So very much Western model. If you ask me,
We talk about a $5 trillion economy.
yeah.
And we talk about $1 trillion investment. So when the money comes in, obviously power augmentation is absolutely essential. So how do you do that?
I already told you that we need to double our capacity index from 375 to 750. Answer lies there. If you want to do a 6 trillion economy, right here in the back of my screen. And I'm telling you, we need to go to 13 trillion. That means we need to have a 1 terawatt hour kind of model to drive it. So it's known, well-known fact. It's not rocket science. It's a plain, I would say, economics that comes into picture. So this is the largest subject today. Probably I've dealt with the fundamentals of the whole idea that you have to focus on energy and water resources and key economic ideas to do.
Yeah, so the question is also answered.
No, we have a lack of time. So the internet will not be available, I think, after some time.
Thank you, Professor, for this wonderful sharing in the energy sector, knowledge in the energy sector. With your permission, we shall now proceed further for the
Absolutely.
flagship award, basically the Prakash May Inertia Awards.
Right.
With your permission, I will request Steffi to
Start
conduct the
announcing.
further proceedings.
Over to Steffi. We start announcing.
Yeah, so we are starting the Prakash May 13th Inertia Awards 2020 now. And the first awardee is Mr. S.G. Parekar, Director, Business Unit Head, Hydro and UG Works from Apcons Infrastructure Limited, Shapoorji Pallonji Group. And we have Mr. P.S. Bhave, GM Operations here on behalf of Mr. Parekar receiving the award.
Wonderful. Welcome Mr. Bhave here, who is here with us.
Professor Iyer, and I would also request Prakhya
Let's
also to
come to the
join
front.
for the.
Two people who are here.
These are the Professor Iyer is the chairman of the jury, and Prakhya Sharma is one of the members of the jury.
Yeah, let's have Mr. P.S. Bhave here for
Two words
the
for Mr.
conversation.
Parekar. I thank everybody who is present and the DB on behalf of Mr. Parekar. It's a long journey for him in this particular sector of underground works. Maybe he has spent around 40 years in developing various infrastructure projects in underground. In Afcons only in last decade, we have completed something around 48 kilometers of tunneling work in last 10 years, and we are going to construct another 20 kilometers of tunneling in next 3 years. So we are targeting that this BU will definitely go ahead and complete another minimum 200 kilometers of tunneling in next 10 years. Thank you. So we have one more.
Yeah. So the next award goes to Renewables India Private Limited, that is NP Group, for Making India for Renewable Energy Technology. And we have Shri Bhupendra Rawat ji, Head Business Development, here to receive the award.
Please give a big hand. Mr. Rawat is coming second time because he was also one of the recipients when the Reliance got for the 5 got, Tyagarajan Stadium, Solar Power got long time back. Few words. Please come.
Good evening, friends. It's a pride moment for me. I would definitely like to thank the jury members for selecting Renewables. I can tell you that solar is sunny industry, and Renewables is committed to solar business. We are the manufacturing champions. We are the integrated module manufacturers out of India, doing module plus its components as well. And we definitely would like to expand our business. We are already thinking new states, including Maharashtra, to expand our business. Currently, we are operating out of Telangana and Karnataka. So, thank you so much once again, and we definitely would like to tell you that we want to commit ourselves not only to the stakeholders, all the customers, but also to the Mother Earth. So, thank you very much.
All the best. we are announcing the other awards because since our friends in Delhi are not able to come because of the circumstance, they are announcing these awards and we will be personally going and giving them the trophies subsequently. So let us start, Steffi.
Yeah, so the next award is for the state of Maharashtra for top investment friendly and intra-excellent state in sustainable energy and power.
Yeah, now, very interesting, Maharashtra has won because we have 40 gigawatt of installed capacity here, and if you look at the state, it's, the capacity index for power generation is roughly 42.5 gigawatt at this point of time, and the renewable contribution is close to 13 gigawatt, which is 3 gigawatt of hydro and about 10 gigawatt of other renewable energy. And Maharashtra is the leader, number 2 state in wind energy anyway, with 5 gigawatt plus of wind energy. So great times for it, 5.4 gigawatt to be precise of wind energy in this state. And I don't see any reason that Maharashtra will not progress as a great state. It will progress and it will be the first $1 trillion economy state which we have said by 2023-24 in our previous report from the Marconomy Foundation. And another fact I want to say is the second biggest utility in the country after NTPC, for your surprise, is Mahagenco. So how many people know about this? I do not know, but the hard reality is after NTPC, the number 2 utility in any format, whether generation, transmission, distribution. I'm not even adding Mahatransco, Mahadiscom side. I'm saying the largest power generation capability from the generation side only. I'm saying Mahagenco becomes number 2 to NTPC. So if we know this subject, then I think we need to focus on this company called Mahagenco. It could be the game changer company, Yeah, and this was the report we released last time, here itself for the 4th of December. We get the next one, please.
So the next award goes to Mr. Arvind K. Mishra, who is the Managing Director of Mangechu Hydroelectric Project Authority, that is MHPA, for a lifetime achievement for SARC region.
Yeah, so this is, if Arvind Mishra Saab is online, I'll be very happy. He is the Managing Director of the Mangechu Hydroelectric Project Authority. The 750 megawatt project was inaugurated 2000. Narendra Modi, when he went there, and Mishra Saab is the man who established that project at the time, and it's the fastest completed project in the region, and it's also completed at the lowest cost, roughly 6 crores per megawatt in hydro. So this is a benchmark excellence project. I have visited the project when it was under construction. I had the honor of seeing it through, writing articles, and I was very clear that this would be absolutely a benchmark excellence project, just like our other friend and Hall of Fame man who's on our jury, R.M. Khazanchi, did the Tala Hydro at that time. So A.K. Mishra is another doyen in industry who has followed up, giving us a great project after Tala. So this Mangechu is the project to celebrate. It has also got recently the Brunei Award. So Mishra Saab deserves this lifetime achievement. This is his lifetime achievement for SARC Region and Power Award. Congratulations, A.K. Mishra Saab.
Award goes to Dr. R.K. Gupta, former Chairman and Managing Director, WAPCOS Limited, for the lifetime achievement.
Yeah, this is our second lifetime achievement for the day. It goes to Dr. R.K. Gupta. I'm very proud to say that he's also an NIT senior and who just retired after superannuation from WAPCOS Limited, led WAPCOS beautifully, and he is felicitated with his lifetime achievement for water and power sector. I don't have to say much about him because he has been responsible for almost whatever you see. He was involved with the 10,000 megawatt initiative with Bhutan, with a member of the working group of the Water Saving International Commission on Irrigation and Dam. And he has also led the cause of water source development from the forefront. And he brought WAPCOS as India's only public sector enterprise with footprints in 60 odd countries. So his leadership is unparalleled. Please give him a big hand. And the WAPCOS is the Miniratna Public Sector Enterprise. It achieved its Miniratna status under the leadership of Dr. R.K. Gupta. Kudos to him, we need many like him in the future as well.
Yeah. So we are proceeding to our next award. That is to Mr. Rajendra Kumar Kaura. He is Chairman and Managing Director of Virgin Solar Power and Energy Limited. That is Virgin Solar, and he has been felicitated with the lifetime achievement for solar manufacturing.
Absolutely. He is an engineer from the Punjab Engineering College. Incidentally, a North Indian alumnus for me. I studied from the NIT Kurukshetra. Received a brilliant man who has been, in fact, without Kora, most of the solar production lines in the country would have not been what it is. So he is absolutely a deserving candidate. He is also our co-chairman for our Solar and Renewable Energy Promotion Association, which I am the president of. And we and Hetal Mehta founded it long back, and all of us are part of it. You know, it's a body which is doing a lot of work in renewable energy. I'm very happy for Rajendra Kora. He has some health issues right now, small operations to be done on 28th, but he will be watching us, and kudos to him. Absolutely deserving man in his sector. Please give him a hand. Yeah, but more importantly than state development, he's the first man who said decentralized solar. He has been working in remote villages in Bihar, Jharkhand, and things like that. So he's a man who has already done hands-on, maybe small projects, and in the production line, nobody has got the idea about how to bring an efficient solar production line as him. He's the best consultant in the country. We can't find a better man than him. Congratulations, Rajendra Kora.
So the next award is to Mr. Amresh Kumar. He is the Managing Director of Punatsanchu 2 Hydroelectric Project Authority, that is PHPA2, and he has been considered as the Don of the Decade for South region.
If you're watching us in Bhutan, this is a great award because it's a very difficult. Punatsanchu 1 has gone through geological surprises, but Punatsanchu 2 is the biggest hope. The next project on the grid will be Punatsanchu 2, 1020 megawatt capacity. I have visited this project as well in the year 2013, and this PHPA2 project is a landmark project again. And Amresh Kumar needs no introduction. He has led several other projects. Basically, the Kishan Ganga project, was one example. He worked for the Lower Subansiri in Assam as well, and the 800 megawatt Parvati 2 HEP Himachal Pradesh. So he has a lot of experience, and a man who has done a lot of work, and these such two projects are behind him. I presume that Punatsanchu 2 would be also a great feather in the cap whenever it comes. He has also been responsible for 510 megawatt Teesta 5 HEP, which is on the grid in Sikkim, 45 megawatt Nimo Basgo HEP, which is in Ladakh. We must give a big hand. We have a wonderful hydro project in Ladakh. And these projects, the Kishan Ganga, Teesta 5 and Nimo Basgo is commissioned. So that is the record of Amresh Kumar Saab when I am talking about him as the dawn of decade for the South region for hydropower. Big hand to him again.
So the next award is to Mr. Naresh Kumar, the General Manager, Corporate Communication of PGCIL, and he has been felicitated the same award, that is Dawn of the Decade, but for corporate communication and PR and PSC.
Yeah, see, the times are very difficult for public sector enterprises. Current times are very challenging. So to continue to keep a company and promote it in this such situation with limited budgets, and at the same time a situation where the economy is not looking up. So I think Power Grid is and I've seen this gentleman in Power Grid for a long time, and Naresh Kumar has done beautiful work, both as a corporate communication man and the PR man, not only from the public sector perspective, but also in a general way. But we are giving him this award as a dawn of the decade in the public sector enterprise because he aptly deserves it for what he has done in the public sector. So very few communication managers would come to his level, and given the leverage to Power Grid, and Power Grid has benefited from the work of people like him. And previously we had the seniors to Ravi Kumar, RP Singh, Ravi P. Singh, who became the director person, also rewarded with these kind of awards, but he's probably our youngest winner. So give him a big hand.
Proceeding to our 9th award of the evening, that is to CESC Limited, for the best performing utility in the power sector, that is overall, power distribution, transmission and generation.
Yes, and this is a record 7th time CSC Limited. CSC Limited is an amazing company. It's in power generation, it's in transmission, it's in distribution. And the best part is they have licenses not only in Kolkata, they are also in Noida, They are also in Maharashtra at Malegaon, and their work is just impeccable. Their growth, their transmission and distribution losses are an impeccable 8.9%. You know, they're one of the best. In private sector, they are probably the best. And the record exported units last time was 700 million units and growing. You know, they are the finest smart grid integration in the country. If you want to, we have to go to Kolkata and see what CSC has done there. And they are replicating this in and even better technology they are putting up in Noida and other regions. So I see this CSC RP Sanjay Goenka group going great guns in the future. It's a company to watch for all of us. Big hand to them, 7th time record winning and keeping their A&P losses below 10%. Impeccable.
So the next award goes to Bangalore Electricity Supply Company Limited, that is Bestcom, for in the sector, that is power distribution.
Yeah, so this is a very difficult area. Most of the discounts in the public sector have been performing badly, or they have got a financial scenario. But Bestcom has excelled, and we see 6th time in a row Bestcom has won our award. This year too, and their AT&C losses are below the 13% level. They are a pure discount. So that's why I'm discussing the AT&C losses, and they absolutely show leadership. They are a $3 billion company. So no other public sector discom utility is anywhere close to what Bestcom is doing. So Bangalore Electricity Supply Company Limited, Bestcom, deservingly is our best performing utility in the public sector for power distribution. Great hand for them, great work.
Proceeding to our next award, that is IEX Limited, for best power exchange in India and South Asia.
This kind of a lone shiner in the, I would say, the power exchange business. We had the Indian Power Exchange, the Indian Energy Exchange, the two exchanges that are there. Somehow, Indian Energy Exchange is done beautifully. They control most of the market. 97.2% of the energy exchange business is with them. Market share. There are 6,600 participants today. 56 registered discom, 500 electricity generator, 4,200 plus open access consumers around, and 13% annual growth in electricity trade volume. And last transacted 53.8 billion units of electricity traded. Impeccable, I tell you, impeccable. World class example. Congratulations again, Rajesh Mendrita and team for doing what you have done. You were in Power Grid, and now you have led this company beautifully all these years. I knew you from the Power Grid days. I must say, Rajesh and team are an excellent team. They've shown it to the country what they can achieve. And it's a sustained performance. Even in COVID times, they've done well.
Proceeding to our next award, that is to NHPC Limited, for best performing PSC, excellence in hydropower and renewable sector.
It surprises me. You know, when I look around, you know, I don't think any company has continued to, excel in this manner. And they're great CMDs. The current one is a very dynamic project man, Abhay Kumar Singh. And I will see this company going places. And they are making leaps and bounds progress in the solar arena too, just like what they have done in the hydro. So at this point, their sustained performance hydro with 7.07 gigawatt of capacity, 24 hydroelectric power station assets in India, makes them the largest hydro renewable asset public sector company in India, and for also in terms of India's largest public sector renewable company, with 4 years of about 102 megawatt capacity already installed. And what is important is, what we like is, they got an outlay for 2,000 megawatt awarded projects in execution for solar, and 6.5 gigawatt of solar projects are planning. Absolutely give them a big hand. This is the company to watch. So it's not about only private sector. There are good public sector companies that can make, and I see NHPC going places there. Very important stock to hold. Let me give you a tip.
Concluding with last but not the least award, that is Eonic Industries AG Germany, for research and tech innovation, renewable energy, bioenergy, for its patented Cyprian Green tech innovation for bio-CNG production from waste.
See, Eonic is a very interesting company. It's a 30 kind of a trust structure in Germany. They're not typically a they are listed, but they are not in the. They are like they look like a private limited company, but a $13 billion company. So you can imagine they are into every field in materials. They are into as butadiene, which is for tire industry. They are in defense. They are into various areas. But the most interesting part we found was they are getting into bio-CNG production with Sepram, and this is the most efficient bio-CNG production in 96 to 97% conversion. And any waste can be converted into bioenergy. It does not matter whether it's a municipal waste, whether it's agro waste, whether it's vegetable waste or any type of waste. So I see a great potential in this. This is a patented technology. They have launched it in India as well. It's a global launch that they have done. I hope they can do wonders, and we are trying to help them out in whatever way we can in the future. So congratulations to the Evonik team. They have a new president in India, Mr. Parimal, who could not be with us today because he has some other engagements. But yes, I look forward to work with them. And they will be heard a lot in India. They already set up the first commercial production scale plant in Haryana. So the case study will be there shortly. It's doing very well. So it's not that it's something absolutely new. They've already done it. And this is not last but the least, as Steffi rightly said, it's a wonderful company to watch for the future. It's a Tech Innovation Award. We have said this research and tech innovation for renewable energy and bioenergy, very difficult area, and that's why we like this company, what they have done. So with this, I think we almost come to the end of the function today, and we'll get more opportunity to interact like this and give you more information and feel what we can achieve together.
Thank you, Professor Iyer, for this wonderful evening, and thank you, Steffi, once again. Steffi, if you do want to say thanks to you.
Thanks everyone for joining us in the Prakash May 13th Dhanushya Awards 2020, concurrent with 6th IPEC, that is India Power and Energy Conclave 2020.
Thank you all, and do we need to have a small group photo together? Whoever is here, please come so that we can have a front group photo. Please come. With your awards, no problem. Those who got the award can come with the award. We can all hold a few trophies. All, please, all of us. Nobody should miss it. Naresh, please come. Don't stand there. Aye. Sorry. One bit of the glass. Wait. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye all. You too. Thanks. Thanks much. I'll come. Okay.